Welcome everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing for the pledge of allegiance led by Alderman Burke.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you've given us, Lord. Lord, we thank you for your love to us and your grace, Lord, even when we don't deserve it. We thank you for your forgiveness. Lord, we ask that you please be at this meeting and that you would influence all of our decisions. In your name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the agenda this evening is approval of minutes for the August 16, 2016 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 16, 2016 with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, a second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Raymond?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our FY17 budget resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution fixing the ad valorem tax levy on real and personal property for tax and establishing a budget appropriations and expenditure for the fiscal year 2016-2017. City of Southaven, Mr. President, on this day.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks? Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Got a little echo going here.
That's Harrison Hernando.
Okay. Next on our agenda is our FY17 contribution resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Southaven approving donations to the donations listed below.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Is there a list of the donations that we can read?
You're all in that resolution.
Southaven Chamber, 85,000. Amor Davis Library, 350,000. Soda Family Theater for 50,000. Historic DeSoto Foundation for 10,000. Healing Hearts for DeSoto Youth Solutions for 6,000. Healing Hearts 65,000. Community Foundation rental donation at the arena. Cops for Kids fundraiser, which would be the donation of the Snowden House. Rental of the donation of Snowden House to Steps for Stovall. Donation of the City Arena to the Southaven Rotary Club, and donation of the City Arena for the Southaven County Friends of the NRA.
Okay, and that motion again was made by Alderman Payne, and we had a second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
I believe there are three more on the next page. We had a donation, rental donation for the City Chamber of Commerce for the City Arena.
Okay.
We also had a donation. Is that it?
Is that all of them? Okay. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Alderman Burks?
Yes.
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 Okay, and that motion carries. Next on our agenda is our M.R. Davis Public Library Advisory Board appointments. Mr. Nick Manley.
This is the appointments for the library board. Obviously, at the previous meetings, we passed the MOU with the county and the First Regional Library. As part of the MOU, each entity was going to be appointing individuals for the library advisory board on staggered terms. Caroline Barnett, the head librarian for the City of Southaven, is also here tonight, and I've consulted with her, and these are the recommendations of the library board's recommendation. The M.R. Davis Library's recommendations for that board. I think it'll be me meeting once a quarter. It's just advisory board, but we need to have our minutes that we appoint June Barnell for a 3-year term, April Turner for a 2-year term, and I'm going to put your last name, I'll try, Jan Basensteel for a 1-year term.
I hated to not get another month name in there, but I did the best I could with April and June. I was looking for somebody named May.
January.
Yeah, Jan. Oh, good, there you go, good, all right.
I was about to say, you trumped it with Jan's name, so I think we're good.
Okay, so at this point, just need a motion to approve the appointments. Is that correct, Nick?
Correct.
Okay, have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
And the minutes reflect each term, 3-year term, 2-year term, 1-year term for each individual.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is the ordinance for telepack.
This is the ordinance that was presented at the last board meeting for review by the board and others who would desire to review at the clerk's office. Still working on a couple issues that I'm going to get with Chris and the mayor about. So tonight, just at this point, we'll keep it in the office for the clerk's office for review, and no action recommended just yet on this item. So you just, you can table it, just put it on the next agenda, however you want to handle it.
We have to make a motion to put it on next agenda.
No, we can just put it on the next agenda if it needs to be.
Okay, and then next on our agenda is amendment to the transient vendor ordinance.
If you recall, last board meeting, the mayor in his mayor's report gave an update on looking at the transient vendor ordinance. Whitney and Andrea have worked together on preparing this ordinance, and I've worked with them some in reviewing this. What the ordinance, our transient vendor ordinance, so we've had issues with transient vendors, as the mayor noted, with traffic issues, sanitary issues in certain spots and locations. So this ordinance will reinforce, the first thing I'll do is reinforce state law as it relates to transient vendors by being more clear about what bonds are required. There will be 2 separate bonds required as set forth by state law. A penal bond is amount of $2,000, a surety bond amount of $2,000. Also, the ordinance will restrict transient vendors to be in C4 zoning areas and or PUDs with underlying zone of C4, underlying use zone of C4 for those areas. In addition, it will require the property owner where the vendor will be located to have a permit. The permit will not cost the property owner anything. It just will allow us to be able to know where the transient vendors are located. So a property owner will have to have a permit to allow the transient vendor at that location, which will help enforce the zoning, which we think will assist with the traffic issues along with the sanitary issues that have been coming up. In addition, this has been a previous ordinance too, but this will be also reinforcing this ordinance when a transient vendor will be required to have a registered agent in the City of Southaven to sign as part of their application. That will be included in the ordinance, and it's also required by state law. So the ordinance will, I guess, it'll assist in the city with maintaining the certain areas of the city and limiting where the transient vendors could be as part of the revised ordinance. And either Andrea or Whitney or I can answer any questions you may have. And it wouldn't go into effect until 30 days from today. So if we pass it tonight, if the board passes it tonight, it would be 30 days. So October 6th, it'd go into effect.
Yeah, is there a motion to amend the transient vendor ordinance?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Ferguson, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
Is there a lot of history behind this?
Meaning what?
What brought it up?
I mean, the ordinance was hard to decipher through. What we found is a lot of the transient vendors love to find loopholes and kind of go where they wanted all across the city. What we wanted to do was make it more black and white, kind of concentrate them into areas that they had business in. As it stands right now, residential office. They could go in those areas. That's not some place that we feel transient vendors should be located in. They're not in commercial zones. They're not in the high traffic areas. So they were basically sprawled across the city, and we were just trying to get a more definitive area for them. And also with the right to vend, we call it the right to vend permit. It kind of lets us have some teeth when it comes to the property owner. Many times you'll have a transient vendor, you try to get onto them for traffic control issues or like trash and debris. We go after that person. We're not able to go after the actual property owners. With the right to vend permit, in conjunction with it now, we can make them a responsible party with the problems associated with the vendor as well. And if we do see that the problems keep happening in this one location, we can choose to not allow them to have one there for a certain amount of time, basically put them on probation for it. So.
And the ordinance cites the findings first in the resolution of traffic and the sanitary conditions that Whitney and Andrew have discovered or dealt with. And state law allows us to regulate transient vendors in a manner that's not inconsistent with state law. So we feel that this ordinance, while it is more restrictive, this juncture do not feel that it does, or is not inconsistent with the state law as we understand the state law to be.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is our contract with Zoll for the Southaven Fire Department. Chief Roger Thornton.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. This contract is an extended warranty and preventative maintenance contract for our cardiac monitors. They are single source. The corporation is Zoll Medical Corporation. The cost of each one of these monitors is approximately $31,000 plus, and it cost us a little over $1,000 each to extend the warranty and maintain them throughout the year's time. This is a 3-year contract. The first year has a prorated cost. The second 2 years have an actual cost. One of the units is fairly new, so it's prorated for the remainder of its first year. And the cost for the prorated is $10,106.15. The following 2 years, it would be $10,663.09 per year. They calibrate them, they maintain them, they give us free loaners if one of them goes down, so that we're never without our cardiac monitors.
Mr. Mayor, I believe we accept Zoll Medical Corporation as a sole source provider for the Southaven Fire Department.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, a second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, that's what my motion was for. Thanks for interpreting.
Okay, is there any discussion on the Zoll contract? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, next on our agenda is a request to advertise for term bid regarding decorative streetscape materials. Whitney? It's Whitney Cook, Planning Director.
Well, basically what it says on there is we are requesting to go out to bid for term bid regarding decorative streetscape materials. Mayor and I have been working on, the city entrance signs. We're looking at other beautification products to go around the city, street signs, stop signs, decorative iron poles, things of that nature. What we would like to do is to go out to bid for term bid, 2, 3, however many years, so that we can get the items priced per unit, and we can use them as we go throughout the next few years and build up. Obviously, we can't do them all at once, but if we did it this way, it would allow us to utilize them whenever we do come up with the money to do some of the beautification. It will allow us to just go to them instead of having to bid each individual time.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? We'll clarify one thing. I'm going to update a couple of things on the mayor's report tonight, but just as it relates to this, when we first started working on it, it was the city entrance signs. So the company that we talked to with the city entrance signs, we realized that they also do the streetscape materials, which are the street signs, that would be mounted, to the mast arms at the intersections, and then a few other key locations like Northwest Drive, Snowden Park. We're going to start slowly and try to add, but we'll start in those areas. But we realized that they can do the streetscape signs. We realized that that's an issue that we got a second quote, but then to follow purchase law, that needs to be bid. So we started out with the entrance signs, which is way under $50,000, and then we got the total. With that, we realized that's a totally different issue. It's something that, like Whitney said, we're going to have to continue adding to it. So if you put the sign up and it's damaged by weather or whatever, you're going to have to go back periodically and replace those. So we want to be under contract with somebody that is going to give us a consistent sign so we can go back to it at a later time. And then when we get the bid back, we will. They'll be back on another, obviously on another agenda coming up soon.
Right.
But this is not. This is a separate thing now from the entrance signs. Okay. Was there any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, next on our agenda is the resolution granting authority to clean private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution granting authority to clean private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion among the board first? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that owns one of these properties that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing no one, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, and that motion carries. Next on our agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook again.
Yes, sir. Item number 1, as everybody I'm sure will recall, is the 280 acres property requesting to be rezoned from agricultural to planned unit development. It's going to be on the south side of State Line Road between Tullahoma and Getwell Road. Last time this came in front of the board, we reported having opposition from the Planning Commission. Obviously, the warehousing was a big point of contention. The applicant stepped back, decided to look at it in different eyes, and has come back to us. Still with, as you can see, the office and the commercial zoning. There is no warehousing suggested in this whatsoever. The interior of it is left as agricultural. At one point in time, they were talking about a church and an assisted living facility along State Line Road. That was a question we had. We didn't want that to be lost in the rezoning. We thought it was a good use. That is allowed in an agricultural zone, so it will not hurt that. But right now, he is seeing a lot of interest in the commercial areas, especially along the Getwell Road corridor. and wanted to move forward with that, did not want the opposition of the neighbors, and so opted to take the warehousing out. One of the things they did do was add in a lot of the C4 zoning uses. They excluded a lot of them that we did not want in there, like car washes, strip centers, things like that, that we've tried to pull out of our commercial zones, especially when you have a fresh piece of property like this. They did comply with all of that. There is a section on Tullahoma that could possibly go to what they call R8, residential 8,000 square foot lots. They've agreed to a 2,000 plus minimum square footage, which would be conducive to what you have around there, kind of an average of those homes. They did agree to that. We did explain to them, as well as all the opposition, that any change to this is required to go through an amendment to a plan unit development, which does require it to be put in the newspaper. You do have to put the public hearing signs up again, and you have to go through all formal hearings again, just as we have now. So everybody understood that. The Planning Commission felt that this was a good plan. They voted unanimously in favor of it. We did have some people there who chose to speak at first in opposition, but once they saw what the plan was revised to, even the opposition had applauded the applicant's work. I do believe we have a couple of them in the audience. We have the applicant, Mr. Baker, is here, and the Mr. Baker behind him was one of the lead vocal residents for the project. But in the end, with the removal of the planned business park, it was voted unanimously in favor of, with the acknowledgement that the road improvements that were predicted in the first one have gone away. And that's about it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 1 on the planning agendas list tonight.
Second.
Okay, on item 1, we have a motion by Alderman Ferguson and a second by Alderman Payne. Is there any more discussion on item 1?
Has it all?
Hearing none, roll call please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries on item 1.
Item number 2, we have a request for subdivision approval for Section C of the Gardens of Snowden Grove. It's an existing subdivision on the west side of Malone Road, just south of Goodman Road. This section encompasses 3.78 acres and has 4 lots and 1 common open space. It is kind of an odd design in that you have 2 buildable lots, and then you have what's called their secondary lot to the north. It is encompassed in the creek line. It has floodplain in it. It's part of this property, so the applicant is requesting that that become a secondary lot that is identified as non-buildable and owned by the same entity that has the buildable lot to the south of it. He did have it in the deed restrictions. We did ask that he place that on the plat. Additionally, there's a common open space that is adjacent to Malone Road. It does have it on the general notes that a homeowners association is to maintain that. In light of what we've seen happen with some of our HOAs, we have asked them to place a note on the plat at this point that if an HOA does not maintain it, dissolves, or for whatever reason is not an entity to take care of it, that it becomes the ownership and responsibility of the lot to the west of it. They've agreed to that. They will put that in the deed restrictions as well as on the plat. Once those comments were addressed, we recommended approval, and it was unanimously voted on by the Planning Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 2 from the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Ferguson, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion regarding item 2?
Are there any chances this floodplain will encroach on any of the neighboring homes?
No, the flood, it's a very defined, you can see the lines, it's very defined because the creek's actually going down the center of that. That's why we did not extend the lots all the way to the back and say, here's your buildable fictitious line. It's essentially a second lot that you can't touch. It's left in a natural state. So the slab of the house and everything will be south of where you see those dotted lines, and it will not affect it. Obviously, we will have a grading and drainage plan associated with each one of the houses. It will go all the way through the process being reviewed, so we'll make sure it doesn't add or increase or widen that floodplain at that point.
Is there any other discussion for item 2? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is the mayor's report. As I mentioned earlier, just a quick update on on the beautification efforts, which has been one of our priorities. The city entrance signs, went through a lot of hoops trying to come to one that's suitable for us. So basically what this does is in arterial street areas where you come into the city, now, you've seen the little green signs that say Southaven city limits here and there. Those will be removed and be replaced by something that's much more decorative, look better for our city, just improve the look of our city. Also, make it clearly defined when you enter Southaven, you're coming into the best city in the state of Mississippi. So we got those done. They are now, the order has been placed and estimated 6 to 7 weeks. And after that, we're going to rely on our public works staff to start installing those throughout the city. So we're excited about that. Ran into a lot of problems along the way, trying to find out what would be the best thing, but we feel comfortable about that. I wanted to have that, and it's my fault I didn't get it to Chris where he could get a display, but I have a picture of that if anyone wants to see that, and then we can get something posted on the website so the public can look at it as well. So I'll be glad to do it. The cost of the entrance signs, it's 9 large double post signs. They're on a decorative post, and then there's I believe 8 that are for some of the smaller streets and some of the areas where the shoulder of the road will not withstand 2 posts there. We have some single post signs as well. So I think there's 8 of those, so 17 total. And the cost was around, I think it was around 19, wasn't it? Like $19,000. So anyway, we're happy about that, and that order has been placed. So that will be, you'll see those in the near future being installed. Another thing this evening I'm proud to let everyone know is, this board has supported me with infrastructure improvement. So it's been a big priority of mine. We've done a lot of things in the last 3 years. One of those is committing a set amount of money. Normally it's $1 million to street improvement each year. And the streets throughout the city of Southaven are not acceptable. Our streets need to be better. And we're working towards that. So we spent $1 million the last 3 years doing that, and this year actually we're able to allocate $2 million with a sales tax surplus to catch up in some of our bond-called subdivisions. When the housing decline occurred in 2008, there were many developers that went bankrupt, and when they went bankrupt, they never put the final lift of asphalt in several of our subdivisions, and many of these homeowners and citizens have had to deal with horrendous street conditions. I mean, it's embarrassing. It was embarrassing to me. It's embarrassing for a city like Southaven to have streets like that. So this board, supported allocating that surplus to these bond-called subdivisions and going in and putting that final lift of asphalt there. So I'm here to update you tonight that those have been done. Newberry subdivision off Star Landing is done. Beautiful, brand new asphalt. Before I became the mayor of the city, I never knew I'd get so excited about seeing asphalt. But I ride by and just look at it. I mean, I'm very proud of it. So there, Newberry. There's another one that is Magnolia Glen, which is south of Church Road off of Sweeney. That subdivision was extremely bad, and it's done. I think that's in your ward, Alderman Gallagher. That one is done. And then we got one more that's Briarfield, which is a subdivision that's off Tullahoma, just across from the Central Park entrance in Ward 5, Alderman Ferguson. And they're making arrangements now. That one should be done, in the next few days. So anyway, your money is working well. It's a lot of the feedback from the residents has been very positive. They're very grateful that after having to suffer through the housing decline for the last 8 years, that something is finally done about it. So I'm very proud to update you on that tonight. And that's all I have this evening. Next on our agenda is our citizens agenda. We did have a gentleman sign up, Mr. Chuck Thompson, and I'd like to invite Mr. Chuck Thompson to come forward at this time. Is Chuck Thompson with us this evening? Okay, he must have got some wires crossed. Okay, that was the only one that signed up. I will move past that. Next on our agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the personnel docket as presented on this date.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Mr. Nick Manley again.
Just have one item. It's a resolution to adopt our purchase policy. As the board knows, the city has a purchase policy. In reviewing it, we made a couple of minor revisions. We've been using the word quote. It's actually a bid when you have two written bids between 5 and 50, so we exchange that for 5 to 50 to use the word bid. And then also, just to clarify, when it's between 5 and 50, the department head can make the purchase, since we'll have it on a minute, so we don't come to the board with every single purchase, and that'll be consistent with state law. So tonight, just need a resolution to adopt the purchase policy as presented on this date, so we have it included in our minutes. It follows 31-713, the state law, and it'll be kept on file in the clerk's office.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion?
We're just changing the wording.
With wording and also putting in our minutes, putting in our minutes as well, and putting the actual having the purchase policy in our minutes.
And just to clarify, one thing we discussed in the department head meeting this morning, even though the word is bid, there's a difference between that bid and one that has to be advertised. So it's just the wording that state law has.
Between 5 and 50 is still considered a bid. Under state law, you have to get 2 bids. It's always a quote to get 2 bids. It's the same thing. It's just to be more technically correct. We wanted to have that changed to our minutes, and also make sure that everybody understood that the department head could make the purchase between 5 and 50, and unless we're going with a high bid, then it comes back in front of the board. So same way we've been operating.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, and that motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our claims docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $3,353,788.71, including demand checks and payroll.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, a second by Alderman Kelly. Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Okay, now is there a motion, please, to determine the need for executive session? We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The items that will be discussed in executive session tonight will be claims against SPD, sale of land, economic development, as well as court personnel and potential litigation. So now is there a motion to declare executive session? We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Ferguson. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.
Hey, see, so they voted on the budget tonight.